Well, I don't know about you, but shotguns have been more confusing in Fortnite Chapter 2 than they really ever have been before. The amount of times I've hit a ghoul trooper 3 times with attack and still lost has been all too frustrating, and then on the other hand, pumping a guy for under 30 damage makes me want to break my controller, and that's just a recipe for disaster, especially when I'm trying to enjoy the game. This brings about some tough questions. Do you use the tack with multiple shots at lesser potential damage and what seems to be inconsistent damage at that? Or do you use the pump with the hopes of popping a 200 damage headshot? In this video, I'll be showing you everything you need to know about shotguns this season and how you can improve so we can really just stop potatoing our shots in general. Now, let's get right into it.
He has 5 health or something like that. Spectate. He had 8 HP.
We need to start out by ranking all the shotguns from best to worst. There's been a lot of talk about this recently, but I want to make sure I cover this for you early. The biggest thing you need to know is that just because a weapon is purple or gold does not mean it is better than every other option. This has been the biggest misconception of this whole video. The amount of people I've seen taking the gold and purple tacks just because they're gold and purple, it's just absurd. You guys shouldn't be using them just because they're purple and gold, but let's start from the top with the gold pump. The gold pump is easily number 1 out of all the shotguns. The ability to pop a 200 plus damage headshot is just so important for any fight in any skill level. It can really just swing a fight. If you've been taking the tack over the gold pump, you might want to rethink that and use some of the aiming tips I'll have later on in this video. Trust me, it's going to make a huge change for you. Following the gold pump, we also have the purple pump. For much the same reason as the gold, the purple can also hit that 200 damage shot, and it has a great pullout time similar to the gold from your pickaxe, edits, and your builds. This quick pullout time makes for some flashy plays, and it gives you the ability to really hit some nice shots. The next ranking might surprise you a bit, but I actually choose the blue tack over the purple and gold tacks. The blue tack definitely hits for less damage, but the pullout time is proven to be quicker, which allows you to do shots between builds. After the blue tack, we can finally have the gold and purple tacks, then the green tack, blue pump, gray tack, green pump, and I'm not even going to list the gray pump as a shotgun because I'm not even entirely sure this counts as a weapon, and I would almost take the gray pistol over that. My list is really similar to a list Nick Merckx posted if you didn't see that one, but I would take the purple tack over the green tack. I feel like the green tack really just does not hit for a lot of damage, and I'm always leaving people on under 10 HP whenever I use that weapon, so I put the purple tack over that one. Now that we got my rankings out of the way, let's talk about how you should be using shotguns in Chapter 2. I want to start with the most important practice you can possibly do with shotguns in general to make sure you're all at least doing this right. The reason a lot of you might like tacks better than the gold and purple pumps is because you're not using builds between every single shot you take. I've seen my friends take 4 straight shots without building when they had around 3,000 materials. Fortnite unfortunately gives us such a high material cap in the game that there is literally zero excuse to not be using your builds between every shot. You constantly see the pros shoot, they place a wall, they edit that wall, they shoot again. There's an absolute huge reason for why they do this. It minimizes their chances of being shot by other players and gets rid of that downtime from the delay between pump shots or even tack shots as well. 1v1s, box fights, and Turtle Wars are the best possible ways to practice this technique. I recommend hopping into one of these creatives with your friends or in my Discord with the sole purpose of building after every shot. To start making this a habit, you almost need to overbuild, so build after each shot until it just starts to become instinct for you, and trust me, you'll be amazed at how much less damage you take throughout the course of a game, and you're going to have a lot more health in those top 5 situations where you're running out of all your heals. This is going to help you big time. Now, real quick tip for my controller gang out there, you might have noticed that I started placing my shotgun in the first slot instead of the second slot of my inventory. This is a recent change I made, and this may seem like a small change that doesn't really matter, but this is actually massive and you need to do it as well. Having your shotgun in the first slot ensures that your shotgun is always pulled out after your edits and whenever you use your pickaxe. Have you ever lost a fight where you somehow pulled out your AR instead of your shotgun even though you thought you had your shotgun out? Well, this will make sure that that never happens again. You should be placing your AR all the way in the 5th slot and then an SMG or RPG in the 2nd slot to the right of your shotgun. Trust me, this makes a huge difference and it's going to help you in box fights and just build fights in general. Next up, I have to throw in a reminder that the right shoulder peek is still alpha in every fight. This dates all the way back to Season 1 and to today. Here's a look at the right shoulder peek. What is so different about it though in Chapter 2 is that controller players now have the ability to flick shot around a corner with the new look settings. Linear and exponential give the ability to flick shot around corners like you're seeing me do in this video. This makes it really tough for your opponent to land a shot on you before you hit them for a ton of damage, giving you the ultimate advantage in the fight. PC players on mouse and keyboard have always had this advantage of being able to flick around corners, but now us controller players can actually do that as well. You really should start taking advantage of right shoulder peeks, especially in building at the start of games. If you're in a building and you're ever having trouble, like you don't have the best loot or whatever, and maybe you're low on health, playing patiently with the right shoulder peek is the safest move you can make, and it's going to help you survive those early game situations more than you ever have before. I want to address one great question about shotgun aim that I've been asked a lot since my switch to linear. Is it better to hipfire shotguns or to ADS? In my opinion, you should only use hipfire shots in the middle of build fights. These shots are insanely quick to fire off at your opponent and continue building. When you take that split second to aim down sights, it gives the other player that advantage to take height or to fire a shot off at you as well. Hipfire shots also work amazing right after edit plays in turtle fights. This is why you almost always see professional players only using hipfire shots. You never really see them ADSing. It's because a majority of their fights are box fights and build fights. However, we're not all pro players, and with skill-based matchmaking, you might not need to always hipfire your shots because the people you're playing are either bots or they're not building like crazy, so you don't have to really worry about that. Aiming down sights with shotguns, it reduces the pellet spread, which can make your shots hit for more damage. So if somebody's above you, let's say they're camping on high ground, whatever, or let's say you're using the right shoulder peek we talked about earlier, aiming down sights to hit someone will be the smartest move you can make to hit the most amount of damage. Knowing when to hipfire versus when to ADS in Fortnite is what separates good players from great players. It doesn't really matter how flashy your builds are. If your shots only hit for 20 damage, that's not going to get the job done. Another tip that might seem like common sense to some of you, but really does make a difference in any fight, is that you need to run around with your aim pointed at head level. I've seen way too many players looking at the ground or someone's feet heading into a fight. A lot of people wonder how I can tell if a player is good at the game or not. Like going into a fight, I can tell if somebody's kind of a bot or if they're just not very good at the game. This is one of the very first indicators to this because it has to do with movement as well. Having the ability to run, jump, crouch, and build, all while repositioning your aim to be at enemy's head level, will put you in the best possible situation to where you deal the most amount of damage. Sometimes you hitting bad shots is because you set yourself up for failure. You need to set yourself up for the best possible chance to win fights, and this is a big step to do that. Sensitivity definitely plays one of the biggest roles in perfecting your aim as well. Don't let me ignore that in this video. If you're on mouse and keyboard or controller, all the same principles apply. Here's a look at my current sensitivity, but I just want to say you really shouldn't just copy my sens. That's a mistake I see a lot of people making in Fortnite at the moment, and I want you to avoid that if possible. If you're looking for your perfect sens, what I recommend, if you're on mouse and keyboard or if you're on controller, you should start your sensitivity lower than what you think it should be. So for me on controller, I would change mine to about 45%. Once your sens is lowered, use that until you feel like you're hitting almost all of your shots. It might not be the fastest shots you've ever hit in your life, but make sure you're consistently hitting most of your shots. If you lose a fight then, where you feel like you could have won if you would have had a higher sensitivity, so you could have snapped on somebody quicker or whatever it may be, maybe you could have turned around faster, boost your sensitivity up by 1% or 0.01. Do something like that. And if you do this over the course of a week or two, you'll see dramatic improvement in your aim. And the biggest key here though is patience, guys. You cannot expect to master your aim in one day, but if you're doing these steps, you're staying patient, you do this over the course of a couple weeks, your aim is going to get dramatically better, and trust me, it's going to work. It takes practice to really perfect shots, but having the knowledge of what I show you in this video will help you to become a much better player and ensure you're practicing in the right ways. If you want to really improve fast, make sure you spend at least 15 minutes in creative before you actually hop in the battle royale, practicing your aim. Free-for-alls can be great for getting in as many fights as possible in just like 10 minutes, and it definitely helps to practice against real people instead of targets also. If you guys are interested in any of this and you want people to actually start practicing against, we're making a big boost in our Discord server. We're gonna have some new bot functionality as well, so you guys can just request 1v1s at any time and people will be able to pick that up so you can start practicing against real people to actually perfect your aim. You're also able to, in the Discord server, ask me any questions you have at any time. I get back to people as quickly as I can, but that's the best possible way for me to help you guys improve your aim and give you more one-on-one advice on what I think may be going wrong for you with your sensitivity or just your settings in general. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you don't mind, check us out on Twitch or just check us out in general on our other socials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.